Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Play On podcast. In this episode, we're doing the first part of our All Ireland Football Championship preview of 2021. And in this part, we're going to have a look at the Leinster Football Championship. So I have Luke here with me. Luke, what are you expecting from this championship this year?
Well, the Leinster Championship's always a funny one, kind of to preview, I suppose. Really, you just have to look kind of the last few years, and I don't know. It seems kind of pretty obvious how it's going to go, but yeah, a few interesting games to build up to what would probably be a dour enough final where Dublin probably come out on top by a few points spare in the end.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's, what teams are Dublin going to beat on their way to winning the Leinster Championship this time. I think Dublin haven't been given a proper game in Leinster and I don't know how long. But there will be some very entertaining games on the way there. But I think we can already say from the outset that we picked Dublin as our Leinster Championship winners. I think the advantage that they have in Leinster, there is the whole debate about the funding towards Dublin. But I think in Leinster it is the most outright obvious that Dublin just have such an advantage on all these counties that I think if the likes of Kildare and Meath were in any other province, I think that they would have a very good chance of winning it. The only evidence that you need of them having a chance of winning it is last year's championship when Tipperary and Cavan, who both been relegated to Division 4, won, provincial championships.
Yep, absolutely. And you looked like, and you saw in the All-Ireland semi-final last year what Dublin did to Cavan, who were a provincial champion that year as well. So I think it's a fair point that it's probably not hugely fair on the likes of kind of Meath and Kildare, who would probably love to be competing for this. But the reality is that with no backdoor or anything this year, their season will probably be done at a Leinster semi-final or final stage.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But let's look at the games anyway and have our predictions on how we think that the Leinster Championship is going to shape up. So the preliminary rounds are Offaly against Louth, Wicklow against Wexford, and Carlow against Longford. Three even enough games, to be honest. We'll start with the first one, Offaly against Louth. Two teams who have achieved promotion this year. Offaly achieving promotion to Division 2 under John Mahon, but of course they had the dampener on their season by getting beaten out the gate by Derry in the Division 3 final. Louth, of course, gaining promotion from Division 4 with Mickey Hart at the helm in his first year in charge. Both teams have shown very promising signs, very attacking football from both teams. Very, very, very dynamic forwards. The likes of Keane Farrell with Offaly, Niall McNamee's there too. And Samuel Roy is also tearing it up with Louth. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, I think this is probably the most interesting game in week one of Leinster. I think two teams that have shown excellent form so far this year. And I think Louth they seem kind of a bit wilier this year, and they're thereabouts kind of every single game they've been playing. So I think it'd be a tight enough game, but I probably would go with Offaly with the division higher kind of experience this year to probably come out with it by a few points on top. But I think that's probably the best game from the week one fixtures.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you think that the fact that it's in Port Talton and Navan, so neither team has home advantage, will have a massive impact on the game?
Yeah, it's hard to know. Because there will be crowds permitted, but it'll be very small crowds and everything as well. And I'm not sure how much of a difference it'll make. So I think with the year that's in it, I don't think home advantage is going to play all that much of a part particularly in the south of Ireland where the crowds are going to be absolutely minimal anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the key part in this game, because I think Louth, with the structure and the strength that they have through the likes of Kieran Byrne and the likes of, Samuel Roy, that they will keep with Offaly for a lot of the game. But I think that Offaly's key moment will be whenever and how they introduce Niall McNamee, because in every league game so far this year, Niall McNamee has come on and he's completely changed the game. Even in the league final, as you said, he set up the goal. I think whenever Niall McNamee comes on, I think Offaly will get a shot in the arm, and I think that will push them over the line. So I think I'm going to go with Offaly to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that.
Right, so moving on from that game to what is essentially a local derby. They played each other twice last year in the Division 4 promotion and in the All-Ireland Championship. Wicklow won both. That was against Wexford. So Wicklow managed to stay in Division 3 for another season after beating Cavan in the relegation playoff. Wexford won the Division 4 Shield against Sligo. So, a good end to probably not as good a league campaign as both counties were hoping for. But how do you see both of these counties coming into this game now?
Yeah, well, I think the problem when analysing this game is the knowledge that the winner gets to play Dublin next, and in what will be a neutral stadium again. So it's yeah, look, it seems nearly kind of for both teams. It's kind of the reward for winning this game will be coming up against like the Dubs who are looking absolute juggernaut. So it's yeah, it's a tough situation for the two teams to go in. Based on league form, I think Wicklow will be carrying a lot of optimism after beating Cavan and sending them down to Division 4 and avoiding Division 4. Like, it looked an absolute certainty that they were going to be going down. So I think belief would be high. And yeah, I'm backing Shawnee Furlong to help them progress.
Yeah, I would back Wicklow, but the only thing that is, doubtful for them is their injuries. Obviously, Dean Healy, his injury is absolutely massive for Wicklow. He's been a massive player for Wicklow for the last number of seasons. He's done his LCL. So him being out is a massive blow to Wicklow. Yeah, Wexford, I think they have a better chance now than they did last year with Dean Healy gone, but it is an Ockram and Wicklow. So with that home advantage, I'm going to go with Wicklow to win this game.
Yep, I think we're agreed there.
All right, so moving on to the last game now of the preliminary round, Carlow against Longford. Carlow missing out on promotion to Division 3 after losing the playoff to Louth. And Longford survived in Division 3 for yet another season after they relegated the Munster champions Tipperary. This is a very hard game to call, to be honest, because both teams are, kind of evolving. Carlow are trying to, turn what was a very defensive team into a more attacking team under Neil Carew. Longford seem to have been in Division 3 for an eternity, but they still have quality players. The likes of Rian Brady is really starting to blossom into a quality footballer. Darren Gallagher at midfield is as good as you get. It's a very hard game to call. They seem to very evenly match these teams.
Yeah, I think I'd probably edge towards Longford. I think Longford have kind of history last few years, causing a few upsets, whether it be wins over Kildare, the likes. I think Longford a good solid team. Like you've already talked about, Darren Gallagher is one of the probably up there in the top 3 or 4 midfielders in the entire province. He's been absolutely superb last few years, and they forwards like Robbie Smith. And yeah, I think they're I think they're probably a level ahead of Carlow at the moment. Carlow's form's been a bit better, but I don't expect them to be quite as effective maybe as they were kind of a few years ago. And I'm going to go with Longford to kind of give Carlow an early exit.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with Longford in that game as well. I think that they are just that little bit ahead, even though I said that the teams are evenly matched, which I do think that they are. I wouldn't be stunned if Carlow won, but I think Longford now, having turned the ship around by beating Tipperary, it was probably a bit dull at the start after they were beaten out the gate by Derry, but having seen how everyone else got on against Derry, I feel like they wouldn't have taken that defeat as much to heart, and having seen how they stayed up by relegating a provincial champion, I think they'll have too much for Carlow. So moving into the quarterfinals, then we picked Offaly to beat Louth, so then they would go in against Kildare.
Yeah, well, this is from this point on, I think you start to see that the big names start to kind of come true, and that's when you're looking at Kildare, Division 1 team next year. You have to back them to have too much for an Offaly side.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Offaly have it definitely in the tank to give Kildare an almighty scare, having seen that, Kildare were beaten by, Clare, and that they only did beat Meath by, a goal. And I'd be more backing of Offaly to kind of beat Meath than I would to beat Kildare right now. I think Jack O'Connor has them moving really nicely. The only thing that is questionable for Kildare is their injuries to the likes of Paul Cribben, to Kevin Feely. Their injury tweaks. Will Daniel Flynn be fit again? Because if those players aren't fit, Kildare are a completely different team. Still have quality players. The likes of Kevin Flynn now has become absolutely immense for them. Aaron Masterton looks a really good footballer, and they're very good inside forwards, like the likes of Jimmy Hyland and the likes of Dara Kieran. So I probably would go Kildare to win this game, but I do think Offaly might give them an awful scare.
Yep, I think I'd agree with that. I wouldn't expect Kildare to comprehensively beat them, but yeah, I think Offaly's shown a lot of form this year, but yeah, I think ultimately I think Kildare's class will probably just show out a little bit more probably than Offaly's.
Yeah, I'd be happy to go with Kildare to win that game. And yeah, so we pick Wicklow to beat Wexford, which, of course, if we mentioned, gets them a date with the Dubs. Now, this will be in Ockram and Wicklow, but I don't think this will make any difference. I think Dublin will go down, and I think they can win the game by however they please, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it would take an almighty set of circumstances for Dublin to not win this one. So yeah, I think look, I suppose Wicklow can be happy kind of if they stayed up in Division 3 and that was their season, I suppose. And that game against Cavan is what they're going to remember from this year. But yeah, the Dubs are going to go through there.
Yeah, and I just have a question for you here. If you were in the Wicklow camp, if you were a manager or you were a player, what mindset would you be going into this game with? You're going in against, the all conquering, the six in a row All Ireland champions, the best Gaelic football team that there has ever been. How do you go into this game with any sense of belief that you're going to get anything from the game? I think deep down, every single Wicklow player knows they're not going to win this game. So, how do you prepare? How do you go out and perform if deep down you know you're going to lose?
Well, I think they just have to have it in their mindset that they're building as a team and that they're hoping to improve every year. And they're hoping that again, they go out and play the best that there is and that they can learn from that and that they can just keep improving. And that to be like to get better, you have to play the best teams. And I think they're just going to hope that they go out, get this experience, and they hope that it stands them in the long run and that they can improve it next year. Maybe next year, they might backdoor kind of run, maybe that if the qualifiers return, that they'll be able to utilize them if they can, obviously if they don't expect to win Leinster and stuff as well. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a chance for them to kind of test themselves against the best and just to see if they can use that as an opportunity to improve.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting point. I think, that doesn't go just for Wicklow. I think that goes for every Leinster team. Maybe a Kildare or a Meath might have, a little hunch that they might be able to beat Dublin, but I think every other county would know deep down that they don't really stand a chance. But moving into the other side now of the draw, the other quarterfinals, the first game here is Laois against Westmeath. Two teams who got relegated from Division 2, but I think in very different circumstances. I think Westmeath were very close to every team that they played against. They did very well against Mayo. I think they probably did the best, apart from Clare, they probably did the best of any team against Mayo. Whereas Laois got battered pretty much in every game that they played.
Yeah, I completely see that, and the only thing I would argue is that kind of late on the season, Kieran Martin picked up a bad enough injury, and yeah, he'll be gone for the year. So that's obviously a huge negative for Westmeath. But yeah, I completely see your point, and I do think this one's very hard one to call. But yeah, I think I'd probably. Oh yeah, I think you're probably right when you say that Westmeath should maybe come out of it by 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, I think it's not going to be by much at all, but I think Westmeath have shown that, they can stay close to better teams than Laois. I think like losing to Mead by a point as well. They lost, very narrowly as well to Down. You know, I think both teams here haven't seen what Down did to Laois and haven't seen how close Westmeath were to Down. I think this is Westmeath's game to win. And yeah, I'm going to go with them to get over the line, not by much, but by a couple of points. So now the last game. So we've picked Longford to beat Carlow, and that sets them up then for a quarter-final showdown against Meath. Now, a couple of years ago, Longford pulled off an almighty shock, beating Meath in the Leinster Championship. Their team has changed an awful lot since then, but how do you see them this year going in against a Meath side who failed to get promotion from Division 2 this year?
Yeah, I think this is the best chance of a shock kind of in the championship that we've come up with so far. I know Offaly maybe might think that they've a half chance against kind of Kildare, but yeah, I think Longford could realistically go into this game expecting to win it from their perspective. So if I were to kind of go against the grain a little bit, I would say that this is the game to watch out for a shock. But I think if you're gonna go kind of consensus kind of thinking and stuff, like surely Mead do get over the line here. It's very close to promotion Division 1. And yeah, they should suppose we'll go with them to kind of edge their way past Longford.
Yeah, I think My heart wanting Shocks in the All Ireland Championship says that Longford are going to win, but my head says Meath. They've become a real stubborn team under Andy McEntee. I think they have to be beating Longford, and I think that they will. So if they do, these would be the Leinster semi-finals, and Kildare against Dublin and Westmeath against Meath. So who do you think would get out of these games?
Um, I think ultimately it's going to be a Dublin Mead final, and yeah, I think Kildare are probably unlucky that they don't end up on the other side of the draw, as they are probably, in my opinion, the second best team in Leinster by a fair distance. But yeah, I think Dublin Mead final with Dublin coming out on top. Yeah, I would expect Mead to probably get past Westmeath comfortably enough in the end, and yeah, I think that. Dublin will beat Kildare ultimately. But yeah, Kildare are probably the only team that would probably be equipped enough to give Dublin a close run game, I would say, in this province.
Yeah, definitely. I think Dublin's toughest test will be in the Leinster semi-final against Kildare, in my opinion. I think Kildare, getting up to Division 1 under Jack O'Connor, they'll be determined to show that they are a Division 1 team. But I think Dublin will still get the job done against them, get into a Leinster final where they will play, in my opinion, they'll play against Meath, because the thing that I'm reading into it is obviously the Kieran Martin injury is huge, but Westmeath lost it to Meath in the first game of the league, where Meath played terrible and Westmeath played really well, and Meath still won the game. So that tells me that if Meath turn up, Westmeath, they're in for a bad day. But on the other hand, Meath's injuries, the huge players for me, they're gone. The likes of, Donald Keogan has a bit of an injury. Conor McGill as well is suspended for that first game against Longford. So Meath do have a few that they need to straighten out if they want to be a force in Leinster.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that kind of those reasons kind of further play into why if people are looking to maybe put a bit of money on a shock in Leinster, I think that game between Longford and Meath is maybe the one to look at. And if Meath get over the line there, I fully expect them to get to a Leinster final. But yeah, I think that's probably the game we saw last year on the shocks. Look at Cavan and Tipperary, two probably pretty poor teams winning a provincial title. And so yeah, there is definitely capacity in this format for shocks. And yeah, that would be the one I'd be edging towards in this province.
Okay, so we are both agreed that our Leinster champions for 2021 will be Dublin.
Yep, absolutely. I think most of our listeners will probably go along those lines too.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, guys, that is our preview of the Leinster Championship for 2021 done. We will come back with our preview of the Ulster Championship. Take care.